Hip Hop Humboldt.
What's good, y'all? Welcome to this episode of the Hip Hop Humboldt Podcast. And this is a really special one. Let me tell you what. Brad here, who's with me, representing 7Point, joining me. We're going to be talking about cannabis and the collaboration between cannabis and hip hop. We're going to be talking about what Brad is doing out in the Midwest and other places actually as well. And so without further ado, good morning, Brad. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. This is a cool show. I watched a few episodes and I'm just honored to be among the many cool artists that you're doing your thing with every week.
No, I appreciate your time here, and we're glad to have you on. We've been talking through email for a little bit. You were giving me an idea of what you've been doing with 7 Point, and so you've been doing some really cool things. We want to talk about that. Want to make sure we let people know what 7 Point has been doing for the local community and how you've been having presence in other places around the country. We're going to talk a little bit about some of your, entrepreneurship in Puerto Rico too. You've been doing some good things. We've been doing some really cool things, Brad. And so this is Brad Zerman from 7 Point. Want to make sure y'all know who he is real quick, Brad, so that way we start it off and not to get it out of the way, but just let them know. Where can they find you on social media or the web?
Well, you can find us at 7point.shop, so seven spelled out, and then point, Point, dot shop. And you could see our menu of all the best weed in Illinois and hundreds of non-cannabis accessories and supplies and snacks and drinks that don't have THC, just regular food and stuff too. So it's kind of like a mart. But we have a Facebook and an Instagram, but Meta isn't too friendly with us. We've already lost our thousands of followers on our page, and now it's just a vinyl record store page.
Mm.
So we've come a long way. We started with a medical store about 10 years ago. We had one of the first medical dispensaries in Illinois.
Oh,
We
wow.
formed a Facebook page. We got a couple thousand followers, and then we added some more followers with this gig in Danville that we're going to talk about. And then boom, like one wrong move and it's all over. So that's going on in cannabis every day with Meta. So I think the 7point.shop, and we have a Google page and Yelp and TikTok, but yeah, definitely check out the pictures. We'll talk about it on the show, but there's a lot of cool stuff to look at.
Awesome. That's great to hear. So it sounds like you're really reminiscent of how things have gone in California here where I am. There was medicinal, there were prescriptions. Cannabis was, made available to people that have prescriptions. And so it's the same thing out there in Illinois.
Yeah, I mean it is the same thing. It's not so much a prescription because prescriptions are like federal,
Hmm.
so it's federally illegal. But like in Illinois, you just need a doctor to sign a form, probably similar in California, and then the doctor could be like an in-person visit or telehealth visit over the phone, and if you have one of the qualifying conditions in the state, then you can get a medical card. And back, in 2015 is when it started here. We applied for dispensary licenses. We won one. The store was in Oak Park, which is adjacent to Chicago. It's about 15 minutes from downtown Chicago,
Hmm.
which is where I live. And then we hired a team to do like all the education and help people get their cards. And unlike California, where I've heard you can really just see a doctor on the beach, so to speak, um, you know, and in Illinois it was much tougher, and they required fingerprinting just to get a medical card.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
they wanted to check out your whole background, make sure you weren't part of the cartel, just to go buy a little weed. So we brought fingerprinters, like mobile fingerprinters, to our educational events and libraries. And I hired the first employee. Her name is Amy Lee. She lived in Oak Park and saw in the news what we were trying to do there and wanted to get involved because she had some good experiences with a relative with cannabis who needed it, like medically. And then coincidentally, she went to Humboldt State University.
Oh, wow.
She's now my business partner in this venture. So yeah, I thought I had to mention her and the Humboldt State connection because she's like all about the research and um all the probably California has more stuff going on than anyone. It's just been around the longest there.
Hmm. No, that's a cool connection though. Shout out to her. It sounds like you guys have, been at the forefront of making things happen out in Illinois, you know what I mean? And that's so cool that you guys, got the licensing or permit for the dispensary. I just remember, even out here in Humboldt before things were legalized, I mean, that was the thing about it is, it was somewhat easy to find a person, but you had to know somebody. You know what I mean? You have to know somebody. And when it went legal, then now and like it is now, we can just go out to a dispensary and enjoy ourselves, out here in Humboldt. We've got, quite a few dispensaries, and there's more popping up, just about every year, there's a delivery service. There's at least two, might be another one or two, same thing that you got that you're doing out there, where there's a dispensary and a lounge connected right to it. There's the Crisp Lounge out here. Shout out to Dean Crisp and what they're doing. There's the Eco Can Lounge that's in Old Town, downtown Eureka, where they've got a dispensary and you can just walk right next door and enjoy yourself. And they've got cannabis products and stuff like that. You're doing it smart though. We'll get into that because you're talking about you were showing me some of the snacks and different things that you guys have. So that way, because um, you want to people want to use flour, to dose and do what they're doing and everything. But sometimes at that point, like you don't want to also. Some people might not want to also take edibles at the same time. You know what I mean? But they might have the munchies. They might want some snacks, and so you're doing it smart by having those available. Um, that's cool though. You guys are doing some good things, some good work out there. So if we could start with I don't know how far we want to go back because, like we were talking before we started recording, you were doing, entrepreneurship out in other states and Puerto Rico, even. And so, wherever you'd like to start, Brad, on your journey, I know the audience would love to hear about it all. So,
Sure. Well, before getting into cannabis, about 11 years ago, I had like ATM company where we owned and operated ATMs that were in bars and gas stations and convenience stores, just like you see like the non-bank ones today. And so we did that in Chicago and some other places in the US, and we sold the transaction processing services and the ATMs wholesale to other people that like had an ATM route, kind of like a vending machine route. And we were dispensing cash, and so in Puerto Rico, there was an opportunity they were just way behind, and it was just tougher to get into that market, but we figured out a way to do it, and I moved someone down there, and then we really became like a local company because we had a local presence. We weren't just trying to operate from the US on this island. And that helped us a lot, get market share and be able to work with locals that, there was more trust involved because we were physically there.
hmm
And then and so we ended up selling the ATM company after we had the dispensary for a couple years, and all the big companies were buying the medical dispensaries back then too. So we sold and then it legalized and tried to get right back in. So I applied for a number of licenses in the recreational round here, um, all over the state, really, in like 15 locations. And we ended up winning the one where I am now, which is in Danville, Illinois. It's 2.5 hours south of Chicago, but it's sitting right on the Indiana border. It's a half mile from my store, and it's right off the interstate. So like the closest store to Indianapolis.
Oh, wow.
Um, we're across the street from a giant cannabis company that's been there for a few years. So we opened up right across the street from them because of the location on the border.
Mhm.
And so you might be familiar with Cresco Labs.
I've heard of
Um,
them. Yeah. That's another big
they're,
company right there.
yeah, so their store is called Sunnyside, and they're the largest producer in Illinois and in the country.
Oh, wow.
They're based in Chicago. So like that's our main competition. But now, since Ohio legalized, we're finding that Ohio is our competition because we're on the border of Indiana and so are they, just in a different spot. So we have billboards all throughout Indiana that really no one's doing in our area. And so we're, trying to obviously beat the competition across the street, but what we're really trying to do is bring in a whole new market of people that never came here before because they didn't know about it, or maybe they were looking for something more unique than the average kind of dispensary.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
that's what so we're, because of the fierce competition we have with this, cannabis giant, and you just, the opportunity to bring in travelers and people from Indianapolis where they can't get weed. We just wanted to make it worth driving for, that you're going to get here and it's not just, oh, I'm going to go buy a couple joints and come back, when I need some more weed or whatever. It's more like it's, there's a lot going on in the store to grab your attention than just a bunch of empty packaging sitting around the store, like in most dispensaries that are covered with glass. So like in our situation, because we had this medical store 10 years ago, we were so focused on the medical aspect of it because it was brand new. And, you know, my partner from Humboldt State, she's a licensed clinical social worker, and she built a team of people to do these educational, programming of like how can medical cannabis help you. And so like, we had 70, 80-year-old people coming in to help with pain. They're looking for help. And so it was super medical. Everything about it was medical. You had to have severe medical conditions to even qualify in Illinois in the beginning for like 5 years. And so it was pretty serious to help those people and learn about how it really did help them over more dangerous drugs they were taking and trying to eliminate.
Right.
And then so now with this new venture, we've been at it for almost a year and a half in Danville. It's recreational, but it's still medical. It's okay. It's easier now to get a medical card than it used to be because they've added all these other conditions to make it easier, but still, it's like a inconvenience for a lot of people to have to get these doctor certifications, annually or every 2 years or whatever the rules are, and then pay money to the state for the card. And, it's just the weed is expensive. So it's like now you got to spend more money on to the state and to the doctor and all these things. So a lot of people, it creates these barriers to get the medical card. And so that's why you see in all these states, the medical patients, they're constantly diminishing every year because people don't renew their cards. It costs money, it's time to the doctor, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to go in and show my driver's license and pay the higher tax because that's what it is. It's the same cannabis, it's just higher tax.
Right.
So so that's like what's going on. And so we try to take the medical aspect, even though it's recreational, because so many people are really just looking for some relief or, better sleep or something. And so, yeah, it's like over the counter now, it's legal.
Yeah.
You have to talk to your doctor. So what we did was in the store to make it unique. um, was a couple things. One was we sought out technology that we could afford that was geared for dispensaries instead of like big box retail, where the technology is that in our displays around the store, we have like over 400 different products sitting out where you
Oh,
can
wow.
pick them up, touch them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so like for example, here's a Method Man weed to Cal.
Nice. Yeah.
In our store, it's sitting on like a plastic stand, and then you pick up the product in the stand, and you set it like on a reader where there's a monitor right above it. And when you set it down, it reads the code and it'll tell you everything on the monitor about that product. So, for people who maybe don't have as much experience with weed, maybe they're used to drinking wine or whatever, and now they want to explore some other options, they could come in and not feel like intimidated that they're not going to have a good conversation with a bud tender or someone because they just don't know what the hell they're talking about. So
Hmm.
they could come in now like it's their home, their home computer, use all our screens are around the store like that. And some of the weed is separated on the displays by the brand, and then other sections on the wall. And if you look at the pictures in the store, you'll see that. But in the on the wall, we have a very long wall of different sections, and those sections are part weed and part music. So we group the displays on the in the center of the floor, like on the ground, those are by brand, but the ones on the wall at the top of each section, there's a pre-roll section. There's a flower section, there's vape, concentrate, edible. And in those sections, more products of just the in that genre. And if someone walks in and says, we have bud tenders that are on the floor, like ready to help people with the technology, you know, what are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking for a vape, well, come over to this section and you don't have the noise of the flower and the pre-rolls and the concentrate that they have no interest in. So they can focus on a few products that we have for them to pick up and learn about. And then it'll also show them like all the other strains from that manufacturer.
Oh, wow.
So like we don't have to have 20 products of the same thing sitting out there. We have one, and then if there's, five strains, or if it's an edible and there's five flavors, they'll all pop up and you could click more and dig deeper and learn about each product, and then ultimately you can add it to your cart and order it.
Oh, wow. See, you guys, that's really cool, Brad. It sounds to me like you guys have a really cool ecosystem set up in your store, in your storefront there. Because let me tell you this, you know how it is in Humboldt County. It's kind of like what you're talking about earlier, where the majority of everything is behind, clear glass, right? And I can't say whether that's from, dispensary shop owners trying to be careful and not have people just steal or whatnot. Certain laws out here in California, like there's this one law, I think it's Prop 67 or something like that, where if you're stealing something that's less than $950, like it's not even a misdemeanor. Like you probably you can just like people just take to grab stuff and walk right out of stores, right? And that's even in just regular retail stores, your Walgreens or et cetera. And, so I'm not sure if out here it's
Usually
everything's
it's just
behind.
empty packaging though. So
Right.
it's like, I went to stores all over the country. I have kids that were in college and stuff, and that's my job is to look at stores. It's R&D, right? I got to buy the weed. It's my business. So I want to find out all those experiences, but just time and again, it's just empty packaging behind the glass. And so why are we putting it behind the glass?
Exactly. Totally. And they don't
What's the
have anything out here like you're talking about where you can scan the code, QR code or whatever and look at, a display of what you're getting and the different options that exist. Like that is I don't think, I haven't been to every single dispensary in Humboldt because there's quite a few. There's, dozens at this point, but I don't think that anybody's doing that. That's pretty smart. Hopefully, if somebody in Humboldt County is watching this, they're going to take that and take your idea there and then also give you credit, hit you up and let you know, hey, this was a good idea that you had. Because I say it's definitely a great idea, you
It
know.
is. People love it.
Yeah. Yeah, because right now you just have to talk to a bud tender and you know what I mean. Turnover may be high. People may not be. There are certain people, there are really good bud tenders out here that know what they're talking about, right? And then there's the bud tenders that are maybe just, kind of just getting into the game or new hires and everything like that. And you don't always, like it happens, so that's a
Yeah,
really smart system you have.
even if all the bud tenders like in our store, they've been here for a while and they were experienced before and they smoke a lot of weed. Even when you have that situation, it's not even always about the bud tenders. It's just about the consumer coming in and like, oh, my friend gave me this gummy and I really liked it, but I don't know what it was.
Hmm.
You know, help me figure it out. And a lot of people aren't going to come in and have that conversation because where's that going to go? Like, who knows? You could go do your own research a little bit, get a little familiar with the products so that you have just enough knowledge to be dangerous. And then you could talk to a bud trainer. Okay, well, I just looked at these products. They seem like the one that I tried before. What do you think of between these two products? And then we're getting closer to, building the confidence in the customer that they can learn a little bit and then be able to have the good conversations so that we could be helpful to them. Because I'm old, my friends that are drinkers, when they ask me in Chicago, like, oh, what are you smoking? Oh, will you get me one of those? There's dispensaries everywhere. It's not medical. I don't need to get you anything special. You can just get it. Like, oh, I don't feel comfortable going in there. Like I just heard it too many times from people that they're busy drinking, they know how to buy wine, they know what alcohol they like to drink, but all this weed with the vapes and the edibles and the drinks now too, people are wanting to try this stuff because cannabis is evolving to where people can use it in the way that they're used to using other things like a drink or you
Right.
know stuff like that. So, for us, part of the concept is really about just like trying to normalize cannabis because, having a dispensary that just sells weed, right? Just like most dispensaries, they just sell weed. Maybe they have a couple bongs, maybe they have a couple papers, not much, but it's not normal for a consumer to go to a store that just has apples,
Right.
you know? What about the peaches and the oranges? Like, so it's like we could just sell the typical dispensary stuff, the weed and a couple bongs, but we're on the border, we're across the street from a big store. Let's let's give people a way that they can go shopping and it's not just they could come in and pick up their weed super fast and get out. Like we're down. But if they want to look at all the records in the store and check out all these displays, that's what they're there for. And we want people to walk around the store and use the things in the different parts of the store that other people don't get to. And so we have just like we have the sections for the weed, like the vapes versus pre-rolls inter interchanged with the weed sections on the wall are the four biggest music genres. So we have a pre-roll section right when you walk in, but then maybe it's the pop section. And so we'll have some top pop records in that section for sale. There is a monitor that you could order whatever you want if you know what you're doing. There's no weed in the music sections. But then at the top, we've got videos playing. So in the pop section, we've got pop videos streaming without the audio because we're just playing music through the store. But then maybe we got, I don't know the exact. order, but we have pre-rolls, and then if it's pop, then it's flower, hip hop and rap, vapes, rock, edibles, country. So, we're on the border of Indiana. We had to add country. So,
And you got to
so
work with your consumers. No, 100%.
yeah. So at the top of each one of those sections are these videos running, streaming from these services. And again, it's just more visual stuff to check out while you're walking through the store, um, to get you into the music mood. And we sell a bunch of records. Where our goal right now is to try to sell like the top 150 records that are being sold in stores. And so we're trying to use some technology to figure out which ones we need to buy every week, and so we can, keep that going. But um, we have music art throughout the store. So like we took the music to the next level a little bit and gave people more stuff to look at because first of all, the album art is all beautiful. So, for us, our store isn't like a used record store where, you have a cabinet or whatever you call it, and there's different sections and the records are all piled in and you thumb through them, right? Each one of our records that's out there, they're new. So the ones behind it are the same record. So every record that we have is spread out throughout the whole store and you can see them all. There's nothing hidden behind some other record for the main genres. We have the old school um, record holder for the other smaller genres. So like reggae and punk and industrial and soundtracks and all sorts of stuff are in the back, but throughout those big sections and on the floor is all the pop, rock, hip hop, and rap stuff, in your face. And so you can see all the album art. But then we have two more cool artistic parts of the store. One is we hired Ames Brothers out of Seattle. They're Pearl Jam's and others concert poster artists since the 90s. So we hired them. They did a unique 2,000 square foot ceiling mural. So they didn't come out and paint it on the ceiling. It's wallpaper, but they had like a company come out and install it. It starts on the outside of the building, under the awning, and then through the lobby and the sales floor. So it's
Wow.
real cool. It's real cool. It's 2,000 feet. So we have that to check out. And then in my house, we brought down a lot of mostly rock and roll music memorabilia that my wife and I have like collected over 20 years from going to these charity auctions. And we have we brought down a lot of those pieces. We have a signed Pearl Jam guitar hanging up. We've got a signed U2 leather jacket from a tour. We've got Rage Against the Machine, big symbol signed by the band, like from 20 years ago. Chris Cornell signed concert tickets, Queens of the Stone Age,
Oh,
same
wow.
thing. So between like meeting artists from just going to a lot of shows or these these charity events that were really this one group had a charity event every year and we would go and we got like the museum style plaques to put next to the pieces so everyone could see what they are. We have like a shrine of Ozzy Osbourne. I did a meet and greet with him a while back, and he signed his autobiography to my wife on Valentine's Day.
Oh, wow.
And I have his DNA in a water bottle that he drank out of and threw into the audience.
Nice.
So
Rest in
all
peace,
those,
too, because he
yeah,
just passed.
yeah. So we've had this stuff for a while, and it's been in our store since we opened, and we're bringing new pieces down from my house um, that I could convince my wife to let me take more things, and you know, people love it. People, see it, and it's like, where can you see all this stuff like that? Like, it's so cool that we took it out of our house where no one's in my house seeing this stuff ever. Here we have thousands of people that get to see it now, so it's interesting.
No,
But
that's pretty awesome.
yeah, so it's like all those things, hopefully could go into, someone's decision-making process where they're going to buy weed. Do you want to just go buy weed that's whatever and, not much of experience, or do you want to like come in and have a little fun? That's what it's about. And maybe learn something.
Right, right. No, it sounds like you guys have a lot of the marketing aspects down and that collaboration between music and cannabis. That's actually something that I don't think people put enough emphasis on. You may walk in, I've been in the dispensaries in Oregon and California, and you may walk into certain ones. And I know it's important to keep things clean, but you'll walk into some dispensaries and it feels like you're in like a science lab, like it's like one of those white rooms where it's like everything, like it's like and it really adds to that like medicinal kind of like that mentality like you're here for medicine and everything like that. But the successful places like that we've had around here, there's been just a few companies that have been smart and done some of what you've done, not everything, but it's important to kind of have, hip hop has definitely a big mix with cannabis, and so there'll be graffiti artists. We've had graffiti artists that'll do installations, murals, etc. At different, dispensaries. We've got one dispensary here, and that I talked about earlier, the Crisp Lounge. It's actually a good friend of mine who's an MC from the Bay Area, moved up here and has been doing ciphers. He's also a graffiti artist and did the art for the outside of the Crisp Lounge. And it's all, it's graffiti style. He's got some Grateful Dead bears, yeah, just psychedelic, type of flowers and things like that. And it's smart. You have to have things inviting. If you're just if you're gonna have it like a metal, like a white room, like I was talking about, you're only gonna invite people that are like, okay, this is just medicine for me, and that's who you're gonna have come in. If you want to have a larger consumer base, you're gonna have what you're talking about marketing down. So you guys have that down. That's great to hear.
And the murals, we want to continue with exactly what you're talking about, where we have some walls that need to get painted. We're trying to use our money very carefully because we don't have any. But in time, we have the exterior wall of this lounge, which is on the other side of the wall right here. It's all like metal. It's kind of like rippled, but it's a huge gray wall that just it looks really inviting for some very cool graffiti art, especially because the metal is not flat, so it will add to the coolness of it with the right artist, I think. Um,
Absolutely.
and then in our where I'm looking right now is we have a patio that is actually bigger than our interior lounge, and it's surrounded by a real pretty dark wood fence. And so we're like looking for some sponsors from the industry to come in and like, for example, this booth I'm sitting at, we want to sell the booth basically to a grower. Could be a small grower, could be a big grower. Just pay us in weed or money, and then just like our store has all the cool displays of everyone's products, we can put shelving right here on the booth. And this wall space right next to me could be owned by the grower. And then it's more education while people are sitting here. They can pick up products and read them and look at the label and see that all the different brands they have, because these growers have all these different brands, and who really knows who's making what unless they're all grouped together telling the story. So we want to bring the education more into this lounge now, because we're all about the experience of the weed and the music in the store. But now we could actually take those things to the next level in the lounge where the rules are less restrictive. We can smoke in here, and these vendors that make the weed and the products could come in here, and we're going to have a little section right in the back here where they could come in and do pop-ups. And instead of just like coming into our lobby with a little table giving away little non-medicated samples for the flavor or a coupon or whatever, they can like roll out their best stuff and open up a dab bar, and people can take a little sample and decide if they want to buy it and then get the coupon or whatever they're doing. But now it's okay, meet the cultivators, see the products unopened, opened up, unpackaged, try it, and that's the real experience that we're going to be able to bring in the lounge. And then on top of that, we built a stage and we're going to run music related activities 7 nights a week. So now we've got the music, right? You can buy as many records as you want. We sell speakers and intro turntables and a couple little nicer ones. And but we could play the music in here and have more fun and bring in local open mic type stuff. Some of those people are going to want to play here, so we can check them out. We could hire them, and then we're going to run. We've already subscribed to these services. We're going to run a music bingo, music trivia, karaoke, movie night. So we're getting a 100-inch TV for behind the stage, so we could show movies. We could have the backdrop for musicians if they have something they want to run behind them. We can use that for the karaoke and the trivia, the bingo. And then we got all this audio equipment delivered. Now I need to find someone to hook it all up. But we got stuff to run all those events 7 nights a week. And then in between, we can be looking at, okay, maybe these are all nighttime events, but we could do, lifted yoga and get a yoga class with smoking. We could have food demonstrations of, infusing stuff. And because of all the snacks that we sell, and we're amping those up now for the lounge, because a lot of the snacks we sell are more like single serving, we're going to get like bigger bags of tortilla chips and salsa and guac and all that kind of stuff. And then we have a relationship with cannabis infuser. It's a woman-owned company here that we became close with called Culinary Concepts. And so, again, this is going to be more of an experience thing in the lounge. But when you're in the store and you're looking at our tortilla chips that are next door, there'll be a little sign that says pairs with culinary cannabis olive oil, infused olive oil. So we sell infused olive oil, infused coconut oil, infused honey. And so those products are sold in a little box of like ketchup packets. So, we even sell ice cream. Okay, so we have an ice cream freezer with a bunch of stuff like on sticks and bars and stuff, but we want to sell pints too. So when we get the pints for the lounge, we got bowls and we got like wood spoons that people can use. And then we're going to sell toppings that you would put on like some ice cream, in our snack area. But it's going to say pairs with culinary cannabis coconut oil. And then you could just go over it, and it's in the edible section. So we're talking like we're a grocery store, because we have the edible section. So now they go over to the edible section and they see culinary cannabis coconut oil. And the sign on that one says pairs with the salsa, the guac, the tortilla chips, the onion dip, whatever it is. And it's going to either be honey, coconut, and then they could make other things too for other snacks that we could figure out, good pairings with, they can make whatever they want. So
That's
so now
awesome.
so now we could be like, okay, go in the lounge and you can have a DIY infusing food experience, and then that those ladies that run that company, we could have them come in and pay them to do some food demos and people could get excited about using their oils in their own cooking if they want to at home.
Hmm. That's really awesome. I think the key word that's crucial here is you guys are facilitating experiences. It's not just a shop that you go in real quick, 5 minutes, get your flower or whatever other product and leave. You guys are cultivating experiences, and that's actually really, really smart. And that's a perfect use of the lounge. I'm glad to hear that you guys are expanding in that direction where, you're getting people to stay, and enjoy themselves. And that's a crucial part of it. I'm not trying to, obviously tell you guys what to do because it sounds like you guys have everything really set up super well, and there's a lot of good plans here. You probably already maybe have some coffee, and if not, having some coffee and cannabis for the lounge. People just like that bit of collaboration between coffee and cannabis. There's even a coffee and cannabis store out here. And so but you guys have that's a robust set of offerings that you guys are doing. I'm really glad to hear that. And having music as a part of it just takes it to the next level. The dispensaries that are out here, I want to say probably 80 to 90+% of them are, smaller. They're in smaller, rental spaces or just, facilities where they're at. And so that's why I was talking about earlier. Again, shout out to the Crisp Lounge. It's large enough there. They've got, a lounge where they have musical acts and they have local, acts and things from the community. They've got, a stage ready to go, pool table so you can stay there and play. You know what I mean? So that way, again, like you're getting people to stick around rather than just make it a quick in and out, trying to normalize things more than having just a, in and out type of situation. So that's really smart, Brad.
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping once we open that, and people start coming through the space that people will think of, cool things that they can, you know, collaborate with us on. So it's like right now it's kind of, I'm not gonna say it's a secret because everyone knows what we're up to, but people are coming through our store or walking by our space and it says coming soon. We're calling it the Smoke Lab. So it says, what's going on, and we're gonna have activities like on the window right outside here that people will see. But like we ended up meeting with through an introduction of one of the staff here, this person who's like kind of like a local celebrity. He's a comedian, promoter, producer, and he's done a bunch of events and he's a comedian and he um he wants to do a monthly comedy show here and sell tickets. And we're gonna like package it with weed so that everyone gets weed with it. And then
Oh,
uh,
wow.
and then now we're like adding comedy to the music vibe, and okay, comedy and weed, come on, that's natural.
Right.
It's just girls' music. So it's like that's what we want is to like invite the community to come in and be like, we're here, we have this cool dispensary with music and music art throughout the store. And we've got a place where an artist could perform. So, we hope that, we're not close to the major cities. So it makes it harder to really attract anyone here. But if we, even if it's more local talent, or in the central Illinois area, then we could offer artists to be able to come in to the store and kind of take over the store or part of the store because we have all those screens doing all the videos. But if we want to run hip hop videos on all four screens, we can do it. Like we can do whatever we want. We just need a reason to collaborate with someone and like change the store around. And we have a whole hip hop section. A hip hop artist could take over the whole section. We could take out everything in there and put all their stuff in there. And we want to do stuff like that. So there is actually an interesting little tidbit I could share about hip hop, what we're trying to do in here right now. Uh,
Absolutely.
so we, through an old client of my last dispensary that I'm still in touch with, she posted a picture on Facebook with some guys outside of this hip hop museum in Chicago. So it's called the Chicago Hip Hop Heritage Museum. And it's like in a house um, on like the near mid south side of Chicago. And so I contacted my friend who had the picture posted, and her nickname was like Queen of Hip Hop back in the day in Chicago. So she's friends with these guys that were like the producers. And now they like turn this house into, it's got everything all over the walls. There's some rooms with music and old boom boxes. And it's really just the Chicago hip hop origin. And they've got videos running of these artists, including the woman that I'm friends with. I saw her from 20 years ago in her music videos. So, so we're talking to them now about maybe being like a hub for them in Central Illinois.
Mm,
So we offered them that they could take over the hip hop section and make it whatever they want. And like with their stuff that they have, we could probably just take like high quality pictures of the things they have and frame them or turn into wallpaper. And those music sections that we have albums on there. We could put whatever albums they want on there. We have a big monitor that's for ordering. We could take that whole thing out. They have this really cool display in their museum, and it's also in Columbia College, downtown Chicago, where it's like these old style monitors from like back in the day, like an old Apple kind of monitor, one of the original things, just like these real fat monitors, from the old days, and they're running all these old videos from the artists from back then. And it's like, that's what I want. Like, I want that same thing. We'll buy 3 old monitors. We found out what adapters we need to connect to. They have little fire sticks to plug into them, and that would be amazing. Like now we're running legit Chicago original hip hop stuff, and we're trying to bring awareness to this organization. And so they didn't do tours as like often as I thought they would be doing, but I think they're working towards that. So we're going to catch up with them soon and see if they still want to do it. But I think it would be really cool to have like instead of a generic hip hop section, it's like a Chicago hip hop section where those guys could then come down and do some education about that, which that's what they're all about. So we could give them the stage, so to speak, and like they could talk about their section and what went into it. And, people who follow hip hop will come to that event. And then we could put like QR codes in the section and say like, um, buy your tour ticket to the Chicago Heritage Hip Hop Museum or whatever, and go to the real one. This is just a taste of it. Go to the real one. It's 2.5 hours away. It's nothing. We're in the same state. So we're trying to get a relationship with them, and they seem very interested in it. And then
that's awesome.
we're doing the same thing. The idea actually came around because I went on a tour of a similar museum, but it was the post-punk industrial music museum. And in this one, the guy whose museum it was only probably 10 minutes from the other museum. Um, Same thing, stuff all over from, you know, the Ministry and punk bands like Pigface and Killing Joke, and the guy whose museum it is a Grammy award winning British drummer in Chicago.
Oh wow.
And he is really cool and energetic and a real educator. In fact, he has a relationship with a school an hour from where I am in Central Illinois, coincidentally. He
Mm.
runs like a music business program there. So he has some friends in Danville. So we're talking about trying to do the same exact thing for this post-punk thing. He won a Grammy playing with Nine Inch Nails on one of their albums.
Oh, okay.
And so we offered him the country section. Let's make it the post-punk industrial section. And same thing, he's got like old videos running, on old media. And it's just super cool to see that. And it just makes you feel like, you're back in that era when you're looking at these fat monitors and stuff. It's totally different. So we're just constantly thinking about collaborations that can improve the quality of the cannabis and music experience, and bring people here to see it who then ultimately we hopefully they'll buy weed or music, but
Right.
all this other stuff is just trying to make for a good experience, but also for a kind of business that's not just some boring weed store, you know.
Mhm.
And then it's like, oh, why do I need to go to a weed store if I don't smoke weed? Okay, well, yeah, I have no response to that. But for us, okay, well, if you want a cold drink, you could get one. Yeah, you had to show your ID to buy a LaCroix, but we have them, and the one thing that I didn't mention is that we're on the border of this interstate um, for Indiana. But when you get off the exit, we're here with that other dispensary. There's 10 motels and a small casino.
Oh, wow.
So that's our area. That's all there is, and a gas station. So we have these casino patrons and we have these motels that are pretty busy. And so we have people coming over to buy weed from all these places. But now with the lounge, we have a place where they can smoke it because they can't smoke it in the hotel.
Mm.
You know, and they can smoke it walking down the street. It's not legal. You could do that, but in a few months it might be kind of cold to do that. So we're going to be inviting people in to smoke it and not have to get fined from their hotel, or maybe there's a post casino crowd that they want some money, they want to come over here and see what kind of weed we got and have a smoke and celebrate their winnings. Now we have the second hospitality place in the area. Otherwise, we're just retail, but now there's actually something else to do for all those motel people and casino people other than just go to the casino.
Mhm.
And then the other thing that we're trying to do is you mentioned the coffee, like coffee and weed. Yeah, I mean, coffee and weed go together real nice. But in Illinois, in a lounge, and there's probably only like 5 or 6 lounges in the state that are open now, if that. But in Illinois, in a lounge, you cannot prepare food
Ah, that's a crucial point.
because of the smoke. And so the health department, we're like best friends with the health department. They're so nice and helpful. They're trying to be supportive of what we're doing here, but also educating us on what you can't do so we don't get in trouble. So in the lounge, we can sell shelf-stable snacks that are prepackaged. You know, like you and I were talking before, in the dispensary, we've got wrap snacks now,
Hmm.
you know. So we've got little baby Barbie Quinn with my Hone Heat. So like barbecue heat potato chips. And then, so we could sell this stuff in the lounge, and we have like a whole rack behind the bar. We're building a bar, but instead of bottles, there'll be glassware and devices to smoke out of. But there'll also be some racks with some candy and snacks like this. And then we have refrigerators in here. We can sell hemp drinks. So we
Hmm.
got cannabis drinks in the store, but now we can sell the hemp drinks that the restaurants and bars and liquor stores carry. So we got like 20 hemp brands that we're going to be selling in here. But we're also going to have like shelf stable salsa that we can, that is on the shelf in the grocery store. We could keep that in our fridge here. And then we can have a fresher version of that in our dispensary for sale because we're selling food. We have a food permit in there now. So, we're selling ice cream, we're selling string cheese and crackers. Now we can up the game. We could get like a bigger brick of cheese now and get a bag of crackers because there might be, all these tables are four tops. So people bring their friends. We could sell bigger snacks that they can share and offer them like a bowl they can dump the stuff in, just paper stuff to make it easy. And so we're trying to solve the food problem because we all know that all these events and the music are going to be, all the shenanigans are going to be a lot of fun and games. But, with the smoking comes the hunger, and around here, there's no food options. So we're working on a deal with a local food truck for the last 2 months to get them in place permanently at our property for nighttime only. So,
Mm,
so we're hoping that they pull it off. And if something happens where it doesn't work out, we're going to be ready to step in with a couple pizza makers that we just bought that can make like pre-cooked dough, but all fresh ingredients, 90 seconds.
nice.
So if we have to get a little food truck and pump out pizza, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we're going to be ready to do that just to start because people are going to be hungry and you're going to be able to inside the lounge order from the food truck so you don't have to just go wait outside the food truck the whole time. They're going to, whether it's the local person or us, they're going to have like a toast or a kind of restaurant program where it's got the menu, the QR code. Our servers we'll serve snacks and snacks from inside here and inside the dispensary. We'll get it for them, but they can just run to the food truck. It's going to be like we ran electric to the other side of our parking lot. So now we're like ready to go. Any truck could come in and just plug in.
Nice. That was smart.
So then now again, we're trying to normalize this whole experience. It's not normal to go to a bar typically and not be able to eat some snacks or some real food. That's not normal, right?
Right.
Once you have a couple beers, if it's, after work, you're gonna want a burger or some chicken wings or a salad or a dessert or something.
Hmm.
And so we feel like, the food part of it is just as important as the lounge. And so we're trying to make it all happen, at the same time. It might be bumpy, but that's our end game is to be able to offer the food and the fun and the weed and the music, just under one roof, basically.
Absolutely. No, it's an absolutely great plan. And like you said, all under one roof. That way, it's going to be a bit of a one-stop shop. You come whether you're looking for just cannabis, whether you're looking for cannabis, edibles or other products related to cannabis, or just, food, or just to come and, enjoy the lounge, and it kind of reminds me that's kind of some of the smart things happening up in Portland where Portland is a big, Oregon up there is a big, microbrewery minded area. It's a big scene up there, microbrewery. And so alongside that, there's a big food truck industry too. There's like truck, like, like lots where they'll have like 6 to 8 or more food trucks right next to, the bars and everything like that. It's only smart.
Super fun. Austin has that, and I explored a little some of those food truck areas in Austin just to try to get ideas because once we have a food truck here, whether it's these other guys or whoever, like I would like to see a monthly food truck, thing going on here. The other thing, we're all over the place trying to collaborate with people, as you can see. We have it's going to start probably in about an hour here, and we've got these tents right here. They're sitting in this room right now, and so we made these purple tents, like 10 of them, and we collabed with the farmers market. So we
Mm,
have a market going on outside on Saturdays now. This is our third week with some local shops and stuff because there's not a lot of retail in Danville, but there's a lot of people that work out of their home and have, businesses. And some of these people are doing the local farmers market like this morning, early in the morning, and then they come here after. And then we run that till 6. So we've got through that, some of the vendors are food. So we're we're working with the farmers market to make our place on Saturday afternoons a destination by getting multiple food vendors. There are these two women that are selling, and they have a generator with like a cooking source right there where they're making little silver dollar pancakes with toppings.
mm.
So then we have an ice cream truck out there too. And there's like a kettle corn vendor. So we're doing this stuff, and it works if we have the people to support it. Now we've grown a bit. So, some weekend days we might have 500 people come through here. So, and if they're going to stay here at night, they're going to be hungry. I get that people are coming from Indiana and they don't want to maybe spend time waiting for their food order. They're just coming in to pick up their pre-order cannabis. But, hopefully we can educate people with time that, okay, well, you can use the app for the food truck when you're at home, just like you did for the cannabis, and pick them both up at the same time. They'll be ready for you.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's the goal, is that we can give people multiple reasons why they should come here. Food, fun, better weed, better deals, um, just a more upbeat staff because we're playing music, all good music throughout the day. It helps everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it sounds like you guys have cultivated and are continuing to cultivate a really good vibe out there and then just a really robust offering. I think it's really smart. I personally, looking at the, things in Humboldt County and the scene in Humboldt County, I really feel like, there's going to be some entrepreneurs around here, cannabis and otherwise, that are going to look at this episode and be like, whoa, this was some great ideas. Like we need to replicate some of that out here.
Your listeners, they can all contact me through our website. We all see our management team sees all the messages. You can, write a message, we'll see it. Happy to help anyone figure out how to make their, cannabis store into a more experiential, location. Whether that means doing the technology for the weed or adding a bunch of vinyl and music art, but they're really well received. The customers come in, and a lot of people really just come in and pick up their weed. It's probably like 60% or more online ordering,
Oh,
but
wow.
yeah, it's big. And we have a, quick checkout area, but there's still, 35% maybe coming in and making their selections on the kiosks and talking to bud tenders and, you know, interested in the accessories and all the cleaning supplies, and then the other cool thing that the lounge is going to be able to do that'll be like kind of hand in hand with the store is that we'll have so like we sell all the devices, right? We sell regular glass bongs. We sell like dab rigs, and we sell like, I don't know if you know, it's like a gravity bong. It's like the student back, it flips around.
Hmm.
We've got a Grateful Dead one of those.
Oh, wow.
We we were just talking about these artists that have their own brands like Khalifa Kush. They've got a student glass now. So we're getting a Wiz Khalifa student glass alongside our Grateful Dead one. And these pieces, we're getting them for the store to sell. and we're getting them for the lounge for people to use. So all the shelves that we have behind the bar, they're going to be devices that people could use for free while they're in here. Even a volcano will be in here.
Nice.
So we're going to have like all the top devices for people to try out, enjoy, and they might decide to buy one, because on Amazon you can't test it out for free.
Right.
So again, more experience, right? More education. When I go to lounges, like especially in the past, a few years ago, I didn't know how to operate any of this equipment. And I probably still don't. I don't pay attention when someone's teaching me how to operate a bong. And so now, that's what like our servers in the space will be experts on all subject matter. So when you come in here with your friends and you see behind the bar a device that you haven't seen before or tried yet, you're going to want to try it, but you're not going to know how to use it. Then that's where we step in and we're going to be able to operate that for you, teach you how to use it, load it up, the water, the ice, whatever you need. We're going to be here for that. And then we're going to train you how to use it. And then you might be like, wow, that was really a good experience. I might want to buy one of these for home. And then, you know,
Come down and
it's
buy it from
just,
you.
yeah. We're trying to make our prices align with stuff online and yeah, people can get education on not just the weed, but the different forms of it and how to intake it, all the different ways to intake it. And then again, the lounge, we were talking about the pop-ups from the vendors and the growers and all that. They want to get people to try their products, but they also want to talk about their products. So we can give them a stage and they can talk about the growing aspects. They can bring in footage of their farms and explain to people what's being done. And that's what this whole, room is going to be about. Just more education, more learning, more experiencing devices and products, and hopefully eating some food too, you know.
Absolutely. No, it's a like I said, it's a really robust offering that you guys have set up and are continuing to cultivate out there. I love hearing this. This is a lot of knowledge and just a lot of just simply great ideas on the business side, and also to promote the culture. Whether it's cannabis culture or like you're talking about music. Because
Mhm.
it seemed a little earlier like the music aspect of your store and your lounge, yeah, it's almost as big as, the cannabis. You know what I mean? In terms of you having that many, vinyls and different offerings on that side of things. So it's really smart, Brad. I'm just really impressed with what you guys are doing. I want to say too, keep, I'm sure you guys already have plenty of, 7 Point branded merchandise, but keep that out there because I want to bet with what you're doing, eventually it's going to spread, and I'm going to end up seeing people with 7 Point merchandise on, like people have cookies on out here. Cookies is the big thing. I'm going to see 7 Point merch for sure.
Yeah, that'd be nice. You want to see a few of these hip hop artist products?
Absolutely. This is something that we don't have access to up here in Humboldt, so people are going to want to check this out for sure.
Okay, well, I just lit up Khalifa Kush baby turtle pre-roll.
Nice.
So these products just dropped about a month ago in Illinois, and the flower is really nice. Um, High testing, good terpenes. People really like it, and they've got a bunch of different strains. Here's another one. I'm trying to read the strain on this one, but I don't see it. It's probably just a blend, this one. And then we've got Method Man's brand Tikal. So there's like buds in this. Some big ones.
Nice.
So it's interesting in Illinois, we have this one newer grower called Flora. And Flora ended up getting all these deals with these artists, these hip hop and rappers. And so they've got the Khalifa Kush brand and they have great flower. So it's working out for everyone, I'm sure. Um, they do the Tikal. And then we've got a couple other interesting products. Well, here's another Khalifa. This is Violet Sky strain. So this is one of them. They've got their branding. Oops. They've got their branding on the tip. It's upside down, I guess. Khalifa Kush. And then we've got uh 93 Boys. Do they have that out there?
No, definitely not.
So this Vic Mensa. This is a super premium product. This is grown by Arise is the grower in Illinois that manufactures this product. But this is like literally one of the best selling, best smoking joints. It's like a blunt, but I want to show it to you. Um, Nice and furry, bunch of keef on the outside, got a glass tip. And then I'm going to show you something else. Let's see how we can. I almost need like a torch for some of these. The regular lighter doesn't really cut it with these 2 gram ones. Don't try this at home. Not alone. You need a few friends typically for one of these.
Oh yeah,
All right, you want to see a real bad boy?
absolutely.
This one is also made by that Floor company. So this is Napalm brand. It's Exhibit. So it's Exhibit's brand. It's called a Napalm Grenade Double XL. Okay. So this is the branding. And I don't know if you can read the words here. It says 8 gram grenade, double XL infused pre-roll, 7 grams premium flour, 1 gram live resin with a ceramic tip.
That's crazy.
So we're gonna open this baby up.
That's cool
Uh,
packaging too. It's like a carousel, you got a bunch of them in there, I'm sure.
it's really cool what they did with this grenade. But it's like super protected with this. That's the goal because 8 grams, you don't want to fuck that up. Oh, there's some more tape. All right, are you ready to see this bad boy? It's really something.
Yeah.
Um, we could try to light this one up too. All right, oh, more tape. Hmm. Okay,
Oh, it's a real grenade in there.
okay. So it's still very protected in the glass. So you can see a little bit of what's in there, but we're gonna open it up. Got even like a fake pin on there. So all you do is unscrew this. The joint is attached to the top. So when I pull the top off, if I can get it off, the joint's going to be on there. What do you
That
think of
is
that?
crazy fat.
Yeah, crazy fat. Should we try to light it?
If you're up to it.
Okay, so the thing comes out. we've smoked a few of these, and what's cool about it is that it's got this ceramic handle that you hold on to. So when you smoke it, the whole joint burns. It's gone. All that's left is the ceramic piece. Um, I don't know. I don't remember the details. All right, probably just got to pull it off. Yes.
Oh, wow, that's a crazy tip.
Hmm. All right, let's see what happens. 7 grams of flour, premium flour, and 1 gram of live resin. See, I need like a big torch. Not bad.
That's like a cigar.
Burns nice. So it's just like a party favor, like this someone's birthday, you got to get a grenade, you know. You got like 10, 12 people. This supports that.
That is crazy.
So yeah, I mean, this is what's going on in the hip hop market here. We got good weed from good artists, good accessories coming out from them. And as long as they've got the good weed, then it makes sense. Some of these big, artists come out and they're just like, it's whatever weed and it's all over the country and it's nothing. But it's like, okay, well, if these artists really want to like promote their brand that's already successful, they should maybe be more involved in the whole weed part of it if they're going to be in it. So at least these guys pick good partners that are making good weed because otherwise it's not very exciting.
Right. 100%.
You know?
100%. No, that's really smart. It's interesting. It's, other than, there's cookies like I was talking about out here, but it's a lot
We have
slimmer.
cookies. We have
Yeah.
cookies.
Nice. Yeah. There's, it's smart that whether that's just out there in the Midwest or specifically around Chicago or, and spreading because around here, we got the Khalifa Kush out here and everything, and he, Wiz Khalifa's, been collaborating with Burner, from cookies and everything like that for the longest. But there's not a whole lot of collaboration between hip hop and products like that out here, which is interesting, which is kind of shocking because there's, West Coast is LA and everything like that, and in the Bay Area and whatnot. There needs to be some more products like that. The only other thing that I've seen, rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. He had the Marathon brand. So he had different, blunts that you can buy. And then he had, um, which I'm, not necessarily a fan of, but the whole the Delta 88 stuff where it would be, you know what I mean? And you could even have that. They could sell that in a place that's not a dispensary, even just a smoke shop kind of thing. But that's, and I may be wrong, but that seems like that's a good amount of the extent of it out here. And so there's a much more robust, again, offering for people that are consumers of cannabis and enjoy hip hop out there, because if there's a rap, that's why I even just quoted, Nipsey Hussle's product because I love Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace, right? But if there's a hip hop artist that you enjoy, you're very likely going to want to, try that weed, try that cannabis out. You know what I mean? And again, like you just said, it's extremely smart for them to be partnering up with farms that are growing high quality product.
Yes. Yes. Here they're doing it. And we're gonna try some of these chips too, you know. We got Rick Ross sweet chili lemon pepper.
Hmm.
I mean, this stuff looks badass. We just got it in.
Those will sell well. Those I hear from what I understand, they typically sell out. It's hard to find them in a lot of places, on the West Coast.
OG barbecue cheddar. Where do you see a flavor like that before?
Right.
So, yeah, it's cool. It's cool. But packaging is important.
Yep, yep. Marketing is crucial, it has to be inviting. And that's what you've set up already with, 7 Point, and the ideas that you talked about, Brad, is just you're continuing to cultivate those experiences. I'm really excited to keep an eye on what you're doing, because like again, I have a feeling it's going to spread. It's interesting. One of the things that I wanted to talk about too, not for any kind of length of time, but with you saying that Cresco's right there, that's one of those big players, and a lot of the times I'm not talking necessarily about them, not going to, try to stomp on them or anything. I'm just saying with those bigger brands, they're mass producing and there's some level of quality that's lost compared to that's out here. One of the big things is that there's, a lot of smaller batches that are made, and people that are, genuinely interested in cannabis and having high quality products. So those smaller batches is where you find a lot of your quality. And so I'm glad that you're bringing that to the area out there in Illinois, in Indiana. It's good to hear too that you have billboards. You were saying earlier that you got billboards in Indiana, you know what I mean, to market to people over there. That's really smart. Man, it's all about different regulations in different areas. You think California would be hopefully more relaxed, but there's so many just, you can't have, maybe certain billboards and everything like that are cannabis related. And it's just weird because cannabis is California. You know what I mean? Like, you'd think that it would be more relaxed. So,
Political, all this stuff. Everywhere you turn, there's just politics and money involved.
mhm,
Everyone, everyone thinks the cannabis industry is so rich. It's like no one has any money between the taxes and the regulations and everything else. It's like it's a hobby for all of us. We're just trying to make money doing it, so we can enjoy our work. But in the meantime, it's just a hobby if you're not making money, right?
right.
It's fun, but it's stressful.
Yeah.
But yeah, the billboards and stuff in Indiana, actually, you talk about the restrictions in California. Indiana just passed a law like 2 months ago. Advertising is outlawed for cannabis in Indiana now, but we got grandfathered in because we had contracts already. So we followed what was going on. And then before the bill got finalized and voted on and signed, we added 7 more locations in Indiana, and we executed long-term agreements with our vendors, but we could cancel them anytime we want. But like we have like 5-year agreements that no one can fuck with us. And so from my perspective, I'm just happy they're still trying to regulate cannabis over there. Like if they won't even let you have a billboard, they're certainly not going to be selling weed anytime soon. So all those are good parts for our business because we've invested millions of dollars into this, you know, Indiana play, and we need it to work, you know. We really do.
It sounds like with that being the landscape, it's definitely going to work. You got your shoe in, your foot in the door, and going to have, marketing out there when it sounds like there's going to be some other players that, won't.
True. True. But yeah, hopefully, we know they're working because we put them in prime places. But the whole billboard thing, we're actually redoing the vinyl on the all the billboards right now to include the fact that we have this lounge.
Mm.
And we put a bunch of billboards over by Ohio and Indiana. So when they come back to Indianapolis from Ohio from making their purchases, now they see that there's us too on the other border, really probably the same distance, and you could smoke here. and buy vinyl and whatever, music events. So we're just really promoting all these things that we hope to have: the food, the fun, the better weed, like you said, the big multi-state operators, they're just trying to sell their own weed, which is, some of it's decent, but most of it's average. And but we really are an independent company. And so that's like really what we bring to the table in the area, is that we're not we're not trying to sell our own weed. We don't have any. We're just here to pick the best weed, you know, independently, whether it's a big company or a little company. If it's not great, it's not going to work here. We're on the border. People are driving far. They want the best products, and they want good deals. So like we have to have both. The big companies pretty much just have the good deals with the average weed, but like we bring in those small batch growers that, you know, they're not running with the big boys, but it's an offering at least. People could choose it if they want to, you
Hmm.
know, whereas across the street, most of those, better products are not available because, you're not going to buy the big company's product if there's smaller companies that have better product. So, it's just the way it is.
Yeah. No, people, especially connoisseurs, are going to know, those big, like we've even got, what's that company out here is Glass House that's taking a ton of the market share because they're just doing these massive, production grows and everything like that. And the quality just tanks.
Outdoor.
Hmm. Yeah. You know. Wow, Brad, I'm just completely impressed with what you guys are doing. You, Amy, shout out to Amy. You guys and your team out there, you guys have a lot of real business sense, cannabis experience and knowledge, and a lot of different, just interests, whether it's the music side of things. That was a really smart idea that you talked about with the comedy side of it. Like you said, comedy and cannabis go, hand in hand. That's only smart. You know what I mean?
Now I can't take any credit for that because we met the guy, and the guy is friends with people on our team here, and he came in on his own and checked out the space, and then we met, and he's like, this is the perfect size for like what we could sell out, like 50, 60 people. He said he used to do them in like some banquet halls and some restaurants that have since closed. And he said, they were great because the room was too big. But here he feels like he could sell out the room and then have people wanting to come in for the next month when we do it. And I totally agree. I think that's going to work because he's a high quality product here and has like a bunch of comedians, in his wheelhouse. And he also is an actor, comedian. So he brings a lot to the table and has his own network and can do his own marketing. And so yeah, so that was really cool. But like I said, he's super local, so he found us and we found him. But hopefully we'll get some other people to travel through here accidentally and see that we have something cool. Someone could launch a record in our shop and take over the whole store, and it would be the coolest thing on social media. People would travel from Indianapolis for that. It's an hour and a half, so it's like we kind of just want to open the doors and then, figure out ways that we can do more experience stuff for our customers and be more involved in the community, the local community and the music community, in the area. And hopefully people will, say they want to be part of it, because we're like the easiest people in the world to deal with. Like all we want is to have fun here, and we'll collab with anyone. Just let's get the word out and have cool experience, whether it's music or education or other forms of entertainment. Like I'm just curious to see like where this goes, what kind of things we could do here that are fun. And like you said, it would be fun to catch up on another episode sometime, maybe when we when the events are full force and there is maybe some hip hop music going on in here, and then we could talk about how we accomplished our goals. Then, right now we accomplished our dispensary goals, but this thing we know is going to be a lot of work for it to be really a good thing.
It sounds like your team is willing to put that work in though, and has already put great done a lot and done some really good strides in making it all happen. So I believe in you guys for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we should definitely do a check-in episode, and you guys even send me some footage of some of the events that are happening that have happened, and I'll put it on the podcast too, kind of mix it in. You know what I mean? Let people see direct hand, like firsthand, like this is what's happening out there. I
Yeah,
almost,
if
I
you're
almost,
driving by.
yeah, no, absolutely, no, that and having great location right off the interstate. I mean. Yeah, no, that's really cool. I mean, I know it's not, about this, but I'm just saying, I almost feel bad because I'm like, dang, this is just going to be straight up giving a lot of great ideas to the people around here. So, like Brad said, contact Brad. Brad's got the knowledge. He's willing to work with people, talk with people. If you guys have ideas that you want to bring to California, to Humboldt County, and you like what you've heard, you need to talk to Brad.
Yeah. Oh, let's have fun.
Heck yeah. Awesome, Brad. Well, let me tell you what, I really appreciate your time this morning. I'm just super impressed with the offering with on all sides of what you guys are doing. I'm wishing you guys all the best. I hope that everything continues to roll just as fast and even faster as you guys are doing it. You know what I mean? Because it's a really good offering for the people out there. Multiple states, it sounds like that you guys are working with people on and have consumers in. And so you're hitting a lot of different bases of people, which is great. And I just want to continue to see that grow. And you just let me know whenever you're ready to come back. You email me and we'll do another one.
Thank you so much. It was so fun. And I hope that all your listeners um, tell their friends to stop by 7 Point off the I-74 in Indiana. In Illinois, but the I-74 is in Indiana.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, absolutely. Thank you, Brad, again for your time this morning. I'm wishing you all the best. Stay tapped in with me. And until next time.
Thank you.